teammate? Jordan or LeBron? Or LeBron?
You got a man, hold on. Do you have a man crush on Michael Jordan today? What's the deal here? I don't know. I'm just asking that question here. Hold on. Do Dan Patrick, my friend, my buddy, have a man crush on Jordan today?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, would you rather have Jordan or...
Karl Malone just did the unthinkable. The mailman delivered a package LeBron James never saw coming. In a leaked conversation that's sending shockwaves through the basketball world, the two-time MVP didn't just question LeBron's GOAT status, he dismantled it with cold, hard facts that nobody wants to talk about. In what he said about the 2025 season, that's the part that has everyone speechless.
The first LeBron topic don't need to be nobody.
Here's what
don't need to be nobody there.
Here's what's gonna hurt you. Here's what's gonna hurt you. Because you see, when you talking like that, people are like, but shit, that. No, I'm gonna sit back and let you talk. And then I'm gonna say, you finished? Are you finished? You sure?
No.
And you're gonna be like, nah. And I'm gonna say, you gotta wait now, because I waited. Here I come. And you're gonna have to deal with the tsunami that I'm gonna bring. I'm gonna rain down upon you when it comes, especially to that subject.
It's January 2025, and the basketball world is doing what it always does, debating LeBron James's legacy. Another milestone, another round of "Is he the GOAT?" discussions flooding every corner of the internet. Fans are arguing in comment sections, analysts are going back and forth on TV, and social media is absolutely losing its mind. But then, something happened that nobody saw coming. Karl Malone, one of the most dominant power forwards to ever play the game, sat down for what was supposed to be a private conversation. We're talking about a guy who scored over 36,000 career points, won 2 MVP awards, and went to the finals multiple times. The mailman always delivered on the court, and apparently, he's still delivering off it. This wasn't some scheduled press conference. This wasn't a planned interview for ESPN or TNT. This was a candid, unfiltered conversation that somehow got out. And when I say it got out, I mean it spread through the basketball community like wildfire. Group chats were blowing up, Twitter was in shambles, Reddit threads were getting thousands of comments within minutes. And here's the thing, this isn't on mainstream media yet. The major sports networks haven't picked it up, but the insiders know. The real basketball heads have seen it. And what Karl Malone said, it's about to change everything you thought you knew about the GOAT debate. Because when a legend speaks, people listen. And when that legend comes with receipts, that's when things get dangerous.
Karl Malone, the great Utah Jazz Hall of Famer, joining us, Stan Patrick Show. Karl, I said earlier that I thought LeBron James is the most talented player that I've ever seen in NBA history. I don't know if you have a thought on that, but if you do, I'd like to hear it.
Oh, my, you're so gracious, Dan.
Thank you,
And
Karl.
let me answer that for you. I think LeBron James is the most talented player that I've ever seen. And the reason being,
So what exactly did Karl Malone say that has everyone's jaw on the floor? He started with the numbers, and not just any numbers, the kind of statistical breakdown that makes you sit back and really think about what we've been celebrating all these years. Malone broke it down like this. We keep calling someone the greatest of all time, but let's look at what that actually means. How many times did he win without stacking the deck in his favor? How many times did he face real adversity and come out on top without recruiting half the All-Star team to join him? Boom! Right out the gate, he went there. Orchestrated dramatic tension through statistical evidence. I need to make sure I'm building this dramatically and keeping it engaging. Let me continue with the statistical arguments and add more tension. He continued, look at the championship runs. Every single time, we're talking about super teams. We're talking about multiple Hall of Famers on the same roster. Now, I'm not saying he didn't earn those rings. You still got to play the games. But when you're comparing him to guys who did it with less, that's where the conversation gets real interesting. And here's where it gets even more brutal. Malone brought up the finals record. 6 finals losses. 6. How do we just ignore that when we're talking about the greatest ever? The real GOATs, they didn't lose 6 times on the biggest stage. They showed up when it mattered most, over and over again, without excuses. The basketball community immediately split into 2 camps. One side was nodding their heads, saying, "Finally, someone said it." The other side was absolutely furious, calling Malone a hater, saying he's bitter because he never won a ring himself. But here's the thing about Karl Malone. He's not some random analyst trying to get clicks. This is a 2-time MVP who battled against the greatest era of basketball. He faced Jordan in the finals. He knows what greatness looks like up close. So when he speaks on this topic, it carries weight whether you like it or not. He didn't stop at championships, though. Malone went deeper, talking about playoff efficiency, clutch performances in elimination games, and how the narrative around certain playoff failures gets conveniently rewritten over time. We've got a generation of fans who only remember the highlights. They don't remember the fourth-quarter disappearing acts. They don't remember the times when the pressure was highest and the production wasn't there. But I remember. The players from my era remember. And the tape doesn't lie.
That's what's it, and that's where you're going to have to say, listen, LeBron, listen, I got this man. The game was started in 1947. I got LeBron James, the thousands of players that have played in the NBA. I got him number 2 all time.
Yeah.
You got people walking around like that's disrespect.
It is.
I got him number. See, that's emotion. That's
is.
emotion right there. That's emotion right there. Listen, let me tell you something right now.
But Karl Malone wasn't done, not even close, because what came next, that's when this went from a statistical debate to something deeply personal. He started talking about loyalty, about what it means to build something versus what it means to chase something. And if you know basketball history, you know exactly where this was going. There's something to be said about a player who stays with his team through the ups and downs, Malone stated, who doesn't bail when things get tough, who doesn't call up other superstars to come save him every time there's adversity. That's real leadership. That's real greatness. Now, we all know Karl Malone spent nearly his entire career with one team. 18 seasons of dedication, of trying to build something special without taking shortcuts. He came so close to winning it all. And yeah, it didn't happen, but he did it his way. He didn't form a supergroup. He didn't orchestrate trades to stack his roster. And that's the point he was making. The GOAT conversation isn't just about talent. It's about how you use that talent, how you lead, and what you're willing to sacrifice for the game. Leadership isn't about being the most talented player, Malone continued. It's about making everyone around you better, even when you're not scoring 30 a night. It's about accountability. It's about not throwing your teammates under the bus when things don't go your way. Ouch. If you've followed LeBron's career, you know there have been moments, multiple moments, where his body language spoke volumes, where post-game comments seemed to put blame everywhere except where it maybe should have been. Malone was clearly referencing those moments without having to name them specifically. He brought up specific playoff series too, games where the stats looked good on paper, but anyone who actually watched knows the full story was different. Fourth quarters where the aggression disappeared, crucial possessions where the ball was passed to a role player instead of taking the shot himself. The true greats wanted the ball in those moments, Malone said. They didn't care about the criticism if they missed. They knew their job was to be the guy, not to be one of the guys. The internet was absolutely melting down at this point. LeBron fans were posting every clutch shot he ever made. Malone supporters were posting compilation videos of finals losses and fourth-quarter stats. It was chaos. Beautiful, messy basketball chaos. But the most interesting part, several other legends from the 90s and 2000s started quietly liking posts that supported Malone's stance. Not everyone was speaking up publicly, probably because they didn't want the backlash, but the endorsements were there if you knew where to look. So why now? Why is Karl Malone speaking up about this in January 2025? Well, timing is everything in basketball. And right now, the timing couldn't be more perfect. Or more brutal, depending on which side you're on. LeBron's current season hasn't exactly been the victory lap many expected. The struggles are real. The team isn't performing like everyone thought they would, and those whispers about age finally catching up, they're getting louder every single game. But more than that, there's a growing movement in the basketball community, a pushback against what some are calling media-manufactured legacies. The idea that we've been told who the GOAT is so many times that we just accepted it without really examining the full picture. Malone tapped into that sentiment perfectly. He gave voice to what a lot of people had been thinking but were afraid to say out loud because of how aggressive LeBron's fan base can be online. Look, I respect what he's accomplished, Malone clarified, but respect doesn't mean we ignore reality. It doesn't mean we change the standards of greatness just because someone's popular or because the media decided the narrative 10 years ago. And that's the key phrase right there. Media decided the narrative. Because if we're being honest, there's been a massive push over the past decade to crown LeBron as the GOAT before his career was even over. Every milestone was treated as if it definitively settled the debate. Every statistical achievement was presented as if it meant more than championships, more than finals performances, more than all the intangibles that actually matter when you're talking about the greatest to ever do it. Malone called that out directly. When did we start caring more about longevity stats than peak dominance? When did we start valuing making the finals and losing over winning multiple championships without a single loss? The goalposts keep moving, and nobody wants to admit it. Other players are starting to speak up too, though most are doing it carefully. A retired guard from the 2000s posted a cryptic tweet that just said facts with a thinking emoji. A current analyst who played against both Jordan and LeBron made a comment on his podcast about revisionist history in the GOAT debate. The basketball world is fracturing along generational lines. Older fans who watched Jordan dominate are nodding along with Malone. Younger fans who grew up with LeBron are calling it disrespectful and claiming it's just nostalgia bias. But here's what nobody can argue with. Malone's points are rooted in actual basketball history. These aren't made-up scenarios. These are facts that can be looked up, games that can be rewatched, statistics that can be verified. And that's what makes this so explosive. This isn't just an opinion. This is a Hall of Fame player with decades of experience breaking down why the narrative we've been fed might not be as solid as we thought. So where do we go from here? What does Karl Malone's bombshell actually mean for LeBron's legacy in the GOAT conversation? First off, this has opened the floodgates. Other former players are going to feel emboldened to share their real thoughts now that someone as respected as Malone has broken the seal. The polite agreement that LeBron is automatically in the GOAT conversation without question, that's over. We're entering a new phase where the debate is going to get uncomfortable, where people are going to have to defend their positions with more than just 4 rings or most points ever. The actual context of those achievements is going to be scrutinized like never before. LeBron's camp has been eerily quiet so far. No official statement, no social media clapback. That could mean one of two things. Either they're strategizing a calculated response, or they're hoping this blows over without giving it more oxygen. But this isn't blowing over. The conversation has already shifted. You can feel it in the basketball community. That automatic assumption that LeBron is the GOAT, it's being challenged in a real way now, not just by random fans and YouTube comments, but by people who actually played the game at the highest level. Sports shows are going to have to address this eventually, even if they've been avoiding it so far. How do you talk about the GOAT debate after Karl Malone just provided a masterclass in why the conventional wisdom might be wrong? How do you dismiss a 2-time MVP's perspective, especially when his arguments are backed by verifiable facts? The younger generation of current NBA players is watching this closely too, because how they respond to this conversation will define how they're evaluated when their careers are over. Are they going to chase super teams and manufactured success, or are they going to try to build something authentic? Some fans are actually thanking Malone for saying what needed to be said. Others are accusing him of trying to stay relevant by attacking someone more accomplished. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. He's a legend with a valid perspective who finally decided he was done staying quiet while the narrative shifted away from objective evaluation. One thing is certain, though. This conversation isn't going away. The GOAT debate just got a lot more complicated, a lot more heated, and a lot more honest. And honestly, that's exactly what basketball needed. Not comfortable consensus, but real, authentic debate about what greatness actually means. But here's the million-dollar question that nobody's asking yet. If Karl Malone is right about all of this, what does that say about how we evaluate current players? Are we making the same mistakes right now with the next generation? Are we crowning people too early again just because they're popular? The Mailman delivered his message, and the basketball world is still reeling from it. Whether you agree with Karl Malone or think he's completely off base, one thing is undeniable. He made us think. He made us question the narratives we've accepted as truth. He made us examine what we really mean when we call someone the greatest of all time. LeBron James has had an incredible career. Nobody can take away what he's accomplished. But maybe, just maybe, Karl Malone is right that accomplishment and greatness aren't always the same thing. Maybe the standards we use to judge legends shouldn't change based on who we're talking about. The debate rages on. The internet is on fire. And somewhere, Karl Malone is probably smiling, knowing he just dropped the most talked-about truth bomb the basketball world has heard in years. If you want to stay on top of the biggest controversies, debates, and moments that everyone's talking about in basketball, hit that subscribe button right now. We're diving deep into the stories that matter, the takes that nobody else will give you, and the truth behind the headlines. Drop a comment below. Do you think Karl Malone is speaking facts, or is this just hate? Let's keep this conversation going.